What's up, YouTube?
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Make It Kustom. I'm Carl Fisher, and today we are back on the ramp truck. In the last video, we did work on the shifter mechanism. We made a nice little shifter utilizing a column shift mechanism. We built it into the floor in the last video. This video, we are gonna get the brakes going. That is the goal. So don't forget to like, click subscribe, hit notifications. Let's get into it. First things first, we are gonna check how we can fit this Hydro Boost setup underneath the floor. My idea is that it's going to be part of the tilting cab, like we're gonna mount to the braces underneath the actual floor. Because that booster and everything will go up with it, we'll have to have some sort of pivoting area. So we're gonna have to run the lines up to the front to the hinge bar itself, add flex lines there, and then we can hard line onto the chassis to the front and the back. That's the plan anyway. I've got a underfloor setup right here. Here is the Hydro Boost that came with the chassis. We just cleaned it up. Looks like it's gonna work fine. We went to Performance World and got a ton of fittings and a ton of hoses. These braided lines, these are Teflon lines. They're high pressure so that we can actually make our own Hydro Boost lines for the pressure side. So we've got that. Here is the underfloor setup. This is just a universal hot rod underfloor setup. This doesn't, I don't even think that the bolt pattern lines up with the Hydro Boost setup, but what I wanted it for was just the pedal ratio, this ratio here, and the fact that it's just kind of a nice, easy underfloor setup. It was relatively inexpensive, so I'm gonna modify this to accept the Hydro Boost stuff and hopefully mount that to the structure underneath the cab itself. I don't think it makes sense to actually mount this to the chassis, because then how are we gonna link it up? I don't know. Anyway, those are the beginning thoughts. We're gonna try and get this mounted to the subfloor or the subframe of the tilting cab right now. Okay. All right, so what I'm seeing right now is that basically what I'm trying to do, I'm just trying to get an eyeball idea. I'm trying to figure out whether or not this is gonna work how we want it. So I'm just sort of hovering the pedal where I think it is best suited, and I'm trying to see how much throw does the pedal have. Like, can I get, here, let me get in there. Enough throw to actuate the master cylinder with enough travel to use it fully. So I think there is enough there. It is very close, but also the height at which I mount this is also going to matter, and whether or not I have enough clearance to the chassis with the Hydro Boost setup is going to matter. So I think that this is one of those things, it's like really hard to kind of figure out where you're going to be at. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to tack a piece of metal to something in here where I can clamp this setup in place to that piece of metal and perhaps move it around a little bit. That way I'll be able to hold it in place. We'll be able to lift the cab. We'll be able to have a look at it. We'll be able to design our bracket. We'll also be able to measure off of it, because it will be doing what my arm is doing right now, holding it in place. So yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do next. Okay, so we've got our booster at 15.5 inches. So it's got to go past this radiator support. And because we're going to move this pedal closer towards me to give the steering a little bit more room, I think what we're gonna do is pull this bracket out now. I don't think we need to mock it up yet, but we should make a new plate for the Hydro Boost bolt pattern and try and move it closer to the driver's side, meaning that we'll probably take this heim joint off of this side of the pedal and put it to the other side, and then also allow the bolt pattern to shift that far. It might give us another 3/4 of an inch. Give us as much room as we can to get around the radiator, but it all looks like it should fit. The other thing we're gonna do is we're gonna notch out another inch so that we can move the brake pedal over to clear that steering knuckle. So once those things are done, then we will come back in here and actually make a bracket that temporarily mocks it into the location we want, but we'll be able to actually test it with the master cylinder and the Hydro Boost along with it. Okay, let's pull that out of there. So something else that I'm doing on the brake system is I'm adding these flex lines. These are stainless braided flex lines, and I've got them for 1/4 inch and for 3/16. So 3/16 is my front brakes, and 1/4 inch is the size line that goes from front to back and then tees off for the back brakes. So I've got these long kind of universal flex lines, and then I've got these adapters, and what these adapters are is typically what you see at the end of a brake hose, right? It's got this little slot in it so that it accepts one of those horseshoe brake clips like this. Makes it really handy. So basically this will go into a small hole, not a small hole, but a hole the same diameter as this, and then this brake clip will go on and it will lock it into place and hold it there. So what I need to do is basically, what I'm trying to say is I'm gonna make a bunch of clips that are basically just a tab that maybe has a 90-degree bend on it with a couple of holes in it so that I can attach it underneath the cab so that I can hold on to both ends of these flex lines, which are both gonna go in front where the pivot is for the cab. So basically the brakes will be like this. This will be on, say, the truck cab side where the actual Hydro Boost setup is. So the hard line will go into here. There will be a little tab that I'm making that will hold it, and then the cab will be able to tilt, and this flex line will kind of wrap around where the torsion bar is near the grill. That's the actual pivot for the cab, is along the center line of the torsion bar. So this will be able to move with the cab. This end will then be on another one of those tabs that I'm about to make to the chassis, and then hard lined directly to either the back or to the front. So that's the plan. Right now, while I'm working on the CNC, I did make that bracket. This should, very hot, this should adapt the Hydro Boost to that bracket and move it over a little bit for the underfloor brake setup. But I'm gonna go ahead and make these tabs now, and while Elio's still doing some shopping. Okay, so the bracket's in. I've got the vice grip holding onto the pedal, having it go through the floor where we gave ourselves another inch there. So right now it's actually sitting in a really good spot. There's this little piece of flat bar used to hold the hoses. I've just bent that to support the weight of this thing, so it's kind of just hovering in place right now. The only thing holding it is that vice grip up here. But it does have ample room. It is tight, but we do clear. If the brackets were to hold everything exactly where they are hovering right now, I think that the cab could be actuated and we would be on point. Now let's go have a look inside and see where that pedal's sitting. So we've got Elio in here. Oh, that lens is really dirty. A little better. So yeah, we've got the pedal sitting here. Right now this tab still goes to that side, which we'll probably swap the tab over to this side because it's a little close to the gas. But overall, actually doesn't seem too bad, you know?
Until you
like do this and then you're onto that. It's really not bad actually.
I think if you cut it down like 1.5 inches, like if you have this, like right there, that should be sufficient throw.
Yeah, we'll have to see how much throw we have, whether or not we can
like
actually drop that.
On a Model 8, it's going to be like through the floor and a bunch, right? It's not going to be, or do they come up this high?
No, they usually have that much throw because that's how much they need.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's like it's like 7 to 1. Like anyway, we'll see if we have enough throw. Worst comes to worst, it's not bad actually. Like driving a big truck, having to do that, that's really not that bad. But like Elio says, if there is room to lower it, it would be a little bit more comfortable, but we'll see. Actually, I really don't hate that position. Like with this on the other side, our pedal being here, that feels pretty good. Hey, you know? Like this is also gonna be up like that.
Oh yeah, no, I hear
you know? Like that'll be your gas, brake, gas, brake. I dig it, it's good. Okay, Elio's gonna make the lines. We're trying to, we're running out of time today, so we're splitting off. I'm gonna continue on the brackets that mount that underfloor brake setup to the cab. It looks relatively straightforward. Let me just show you real quick in here. I'm going to basically make a bracket that goes from here to get these 2 bolts. It'll weld to this plate. Everybody's asking what these were. These were when I lifted the cab off of the chassis that it was on. I built these mounts, so I'm going to utilize that plate that's already bolted on right here. We'll probably end up cutting it off just past this bolt, but that is going to get our 2 bolts here. The other 2 bolts on the other side of where we're looking at. I guess we can look at it down this way. The other 2 bolts, I'm just going to make a bracket that welds directly into that rail, that structure rail on the cab that follows this line here. So that's what I'm gonna do. Elio's gonna do the fittings that go from the power steering pump to the Hydro Boost and from the Hydro Boost to the power steering. He's gonna have to make all those lines. We got all of our lines through Performance World. They have every single fitting that you could ever want to have to do this and to have to make lines from scratch. So they're actually like really reasonably priced. For us locally, it's like super easy to get. I know that they kind of service a lot of Western Canada as well. So Mopac, Performance World, thanks for that. They are so easy to deal with in knowing what all the different sizes were and what I needed. So cheers, thank you very much. That is what Elio's gonna do. Lots of work to go, let's get her done. Okay, so I've got these brackets kind of drawn up. Okay, so we've gotta figure out this linkage. Did I bring everything with me? Hey. Hey. No. This machine is being less than desirable right now. Okay. Wires out of the way here. Can't wait till we lift this up and can actually get in here. Okay. There's that. Let's do another one. Oh, hey there, guy. You look like Goku from the Pokemon, sticking his head through from fighting Pokemon in the clouds. All right, so we got this thing sitting up in the air right now. Hydro Boost is hanging out in the open. The cap keeps it nice and sealed. If you guys are wondering, these are sealed caps, so they can tip. They're not gonna leak. They've got a nice seal in there. Basically, what I'm working on right now is just running new brake lines in the front. This is the old line that's been chopped off. So I've got a new one coming from the passenger side up to the front, across this cross member, and then into a little T-fitting. This will go into our flex hose that goes up near the hinge, which is this pivot here, or sorry, this pivot, the proportion bar, and goes up to here. Which one is it? This one? This one goes to the end here. This one goes to this one for the rear brake. That's the rear brake. I've got a big long roll of the 1/4 inch line for the rear. I'm just stringing this thing out, getting it nice and straight. We're gonna have to go and mount this hose somewhere off of this bag bracket so that it has enough travel when it goes up and down with the air. And then we will mount this line onto the inside of the frame rail, bring it all the way to the front, right to that fitting on the flex hose that we just mounted. That's what's next. So just brakes, and then we should be able to bleed it. Give this thing a try. All right, we have brake lines. Everything's mounted up. We've got power steering lines hooked up. Elio made up all these hydraulic lines. Once again, all the fittings and the lines, we get it from Performance World. They're at Mopac if you're local. Good prices, really helpful with all the fittings. They keep everything in stock for all those weird fittings that you need. Adapter fittings, AN fittings, Teflon lines for high pressure, and regular for low pressure, like for our returns and stuff like that. We've got these lines tucked away. They had to be tucked in a little bit tight. That's kind of why they look bent a little bit weird, because they have to clear this little notch in our radiator mount. Also, that radiator is going to get changed. It needs to be rubber mounted, rubber isolated somewhere. It was just kind of put in there for the sake of getting it done. But anyway, that is that. Well, I think we're going to call it a video. This is a great amount of progress. I'm super stoked. We've got brakes pretty much. We've got a little bit more work to do underneath the cab. There's going to be throttle linkage, very important. We've got, I want to do the radiator. I want to get the rest of the lines hooked up. I've got an air compressor now that I need to mount to the motor. I'll show you that. Where is it? Maybe I won't show it to you. I'll show it to you later. Show it to you later. It's a York 210 engine driven air compressor. It's like an air conditioning pump, but one that has quite a bit of volume that will be able to fill our tank. Yeah, so we'll get that, we'll get the compressor mounted, the radiator done. We've got air ride to think about. I mean, it's so close to driving. As soon as we got a throttle cable on it, I'll slap the cab down, bleed the brakes, and we'll take it for a toot. But I really do want to get a bunch more work done on this thing. So yeah, you're gonna see it on here. The Model A, the ramp truck, and the Zephyr, and the baby Buick, these are the focuses for the next little bit. I just want a big shout out to Halfass Kustoms, Brent. Really great guy. He was the first guy to ever shout out this channel, and kind of, you know, there's been a few. I shouldn't say the first, but there's been a few. He really helped us out, and he came out here and busted so much butt on this ramp truck with me for 4 days to get it to almost where it is now. I've done a little bit of work since then, like the 4-link and the brake lines or whatever, but definitely check out his channel, Halfass Kustoms. He's super knowledgeable, super friendly, and builds some really cool cars. So anyway, I appreciate everybody that subscribed, that supports, that watches. You know, I don't think any of this could be possible without you guys, and I'm really, really thankful. So thank you very much, and don't forget to like, click subscribe, hit notifications if you have not already, and we'll catch you on the next one. Oh, custom crew membership, $5 a month, 15% off on the merch store. There's gonna be Mother Tucker hammers on there. If they're not already on there, they will be soon. I'm pretty sure they should be on by the time this video drops. New hats, trucker, mesh, rope brim, pretty cool. Red and black, there's some of those on the site, they're fresh. And I'm in the coming months, I'm hoping to get a lot more. Like, we'll do some Make It Kustom stuff, not just Japhandskustoms. Like, we haven't done anything for the channel yet. So, you know, if you got any ideas on some of the artwork, let me know. I'm definitely gonna do something like for the Zephyr, something for the Buick, something for, you know, try and get our favorite projects out there. So anyway, we'll catch you in the next one, everybody. Bye-bye.